Hello everyone, myself Charanjit Singh. In this video, I am going to start with a new chapter or a first chapter of your chemistry for class plus 1, that is some basic concepts for chemistry. In this chapter, first of all, we are going to cover a previous concepts or a basic concept related to a chemistry. So let's start. First one is matter. What do you mean by matter? Matter is what anything which has mass and occupies space, that is called a matter. For example, book, pen, pencil, water, etc. Might be you have done it in ninth class also, but again I am repeating this basic concept so that you have a clear idea about the chemistry. Basically, anything which has mass and occupies space is called matter. For example, book, pen, pencil, water, etc. Next one is states of matter. Matter basically can exist in three states, that is solid, liquid and gas. Okay, means solid, liquid and gas. Let's have a difference between these states of matter. First one is the solid states have definite shape and definite volume. The liquid state does not have definite shape and definite volume, and gaseous state does not have a definite shape nor a definite volume. The solid states are basically incompressible. They are slightly compressible or they are highly compressible. Compressible means when you are going to apply pressure on it, how they are going to react. Basically, solid cannot be compressed, liquid can slightly compress, and gases can compress. For example, LPG. Okay, LPG is a liquid petroleum gas which is highly compressible gas. And next one is solid state. They cannot flow. Liquid can flow and gases can also flow. Next one is particles. They don't move freely. Particles move freely but within a confined boundary. For example, if you are having a beaker, the liquid state particles can move within a confined boundaries of the beaker. Next one is particles of gaseous state move very freely. Next one is the force of attraction between these particles are maximum, and the force of attraction between these liquid state are less as compared to the solid, and force of attraction between the particles is least in case of gas. As we are going to compare with solid and liquid, the gaseous are having very less force of attraction between them. Now next one is this solid state and liquid state and gaseous state are basically interconvertible also, means we can convert solid to liquid and liquid to gases. For example, I am having this graph, that is when you are going to basically increase the temperature, okay, and decrease the pressure, this solid can be changes to a liquid. This process is known as what? Fusion. Again, when you are going to increase temperature and decrease the pressure, again this liquid can be converted to what? Gaseous state. This process is known as vaporization. Okay, similarly, if you are going to decrease the temperature and increase the pressure, it will be changed, gases can be changes to a liquid, that is known as condensation. Okay, means when you are going to decrease temperature and increase pressure, gases can be converted to the liquid state. And when you are going to convert, if you want to convert basically liquid to a solid, for example, if you are having a water, you want to convert it into a ice, what you have to do? You have to decrease the temperature and increase the pressure. This can be the combination and you can get your ice, means liquid can be changes to a solid. That process is known as solidification. Now one more process, that is you can convert solid to the gaseous state, with the help of again increase in temperature. That process directly means directly converting solid to a gas. This process is known as sublimation. For example, naphthalene balls basically they can be converted to solid to gas directly. Okay, now next one we are going to talk about the classification of matter, means how we can classify the matter. The first one classification of the matter is matter can be classified as basically pure substance and mixture. Now what are the pure substance? When all the constituent particles of the substance are same in chemical nature, means if they are having a same nature, they are called pure substance. Okay, when all the constituent particles of a substance are in same chemical nature, they are called as pure substance. And they can be again divided into two categories, that is elements and compounds. Elements basically those which are consist of one kind of atoms, and compounds which are having more than one kind of atom. Or I can say, or you can also say this, कि elements combine to form compound, means when two or more elements combine they form compounds. So we cannot divide basically elements into more simpler compounds, but we can divide again compound into the simple elements. Okay, now we still know about only 118 elements. Okay, but there is no upper limit on the type of the compound that can be formed by with the help of elements. Next classification of this matter is basically mixtures. Okay, what are the mixtures? A mixture contain particles of two or more pure substance. They are called mixture. They can be present in any ratio, either 2:1 we can say, either 3:1, or anything. For example, I can talk about sugar in water. Means when you are going to mix sugar in water, it can be mixed in any proportion. Means 2 spoon you can add in a 1 glass of a water. Okay, and tea is also a mixture, air is also a mixture of so many gases. Okay, next one is mixture can be basically divided into two categories. First one is homogeneous, next one is heterogeneous. Homogeneous mixture are those which has uniform composition. Heterogeneous are those which are not having a non-uniform composition. They are basically having non-uniform composition, and the constituent particles are not visible to naked eye. In case of homogeneous mixture, means the particles are not visible. The reason behind it, they are mixed properly, that's why they cannot be seen. But in case of heterogeneous, basically they are not mixed properly. They may be visible, they can be naked, they can be not be seen by the naked eye. Okay, there are some conditions. For example, colloidal particle cannot be seen. Okay, with either they are having a heterogeneous mixture, but colloidal particles still cannot be seen. And later on video we are going to discuss about collider particles also. The components of the homogeneous mixture cannot be filtered by simple filtration. Means by ordinary filters or filter paper you cannot basically separate out the homogeneous mixture, but in case of heterogeneous they can be easily separated by the simple filtration. Next one is they do not scatter a beam of light. That means when you are going to incident a ray on a homogeneous mixture, they do not scatter a light. Okay, but when you are going to incident ray of light onto the heterogeneous mixture, they can scatter a beam of light. For example, Tyndall effect that you already have studied in 9th class. Next one is the particle size is very small in case of homogeneous, that's why they mix properly. In case of this, particle size is larger than the homogeneous mixture. Okay, the particle size is larger than that of homogeneous mixture. Now you can take one example. For example, sugar solution, alloys, they are a homogeneous mixture, etc. Heterogeneous are mud in water or ink. They are heterogeneous, means mud in water can basically scatter a light. They can be filtered by ordinary filters. Ink also can be scatter the light. Okay, these are the example of heterogeneous mixtures. Now we will study the elements which are being combined to form compound, how they are being formed. So there are basic certain laws which helps to determine the how these chemical compounds are formed with the help of element. That is under the category of law of chemical combination. The first law in this is law of conservation of mass. This law states that during any physical and chemical change, the total mass of the product will be always equal to the total mass of the reactant. Okay, the total mass of the product will be always equal to the total mass of the reactant. Means reactant will be always equal to the product if we are going to calculate their mass. So let's understand more with the help of one numerical. Okay, that is, if we are having 6.3 gram of sodium bicarbonate, that is NaHCO3, is added to 15.0 gram of acetic acid, CsCCOOH. The residue is found to be weight 18.0. What is residue? Residue is which remains after a reaction in the solution, that is called residue. Okay, so we have to calculate what is the mass of CO2 released during the reaction. That means we have to firstly write the reaction. For this, when we are going to add NaHCO3 in acetic acid, that is CsCCOOH, we will get sodium acetate, that is CsCCOONA, water and CO2. Since this CO2 will evaporate, okay, So the residue which will remain in the solution, that will be your sodium acetate and water. These are basically residue. So what is given? We have 6.3 gram of sodium bicarbonate. Sodium this acetic acid is also given, that is 15.0 gram. Sodium acetate is 18.0 gram, which combined with water means total is 18.0 gram. We do not know the mass of this CO2, so we are going to take it as X. Okay, so according to law of conservation of matter, these should be equal. This means reactant should be equal to the product. So first of all, we are going to have the sum of the mass of the reactant. Okay, for this, reactants are sodium bicarbonate and acetic acid. Okay, its mass is 6.3 and 15. When you are going to add it, it will come out to be 21.3. Similarly, in the case of this mass, when you are going to combine the sum of the mass of the product, you will get mass of the residue, that is 18.0, mass of the CO2 is X gram. Okay, so according to conservation of law of conservation of mass, they should be equal. Okay, so 21.3 is should be equal to 18.0 plus X. Okay, and you will get a value of X is 3.3 gram. Okay, which is your answer. Okay, now in next part I'm going to cover some more concepts, how these elements are going to convert into a compounds, how the laws are governed. Thank you.